Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. I see people are already here in the chat. I see Jack is here. Tree of Knowledge is here. Stephanie, Unusual AI. Jack, fantastic. Okay, great. Guys, I think a lot of you have heard about this whole idea of AI is going to come take our they took our jobs, they took our jobs. AI is going to come replace everyone, and others. If you listen to some people, it's going to become really, really good, and we all don't have to work at all ever again. And AI and robots will do everything for us, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be like the end of job. And then you have other people who's like, "Yeah, this is horrible. There's not going to be any jobs left. We're going to we can't make money, we can't afford anything because there's not going to be any jobs left for us because AI will basically take over everything, right? So we have the optimists and we have the pessimists. Generally we have four camps, I think. Yes. Is it four camps? Well, we have the people. Okay, so yes, we have four camps. Camp number one are the people who have no clue, or they don't believe that things are going to change that much, right? They basically are not aware about how fast things are about to change and how we're not even going to be able to recognize our world. I mean, humans adapt very fast, so I have to give them credit for that. But things are about to change, and a lot of people don't realize how fast things are about to change. So that's category one, which is, I think, the vast majority of people who don't understand how fast things are going to change. Okay. Category number two are people who are very excited because they think we're going to get to a position where everything will be provided and we have to do zero work, no jobs, just vacations, and I don't know, whatever you do if you have a lot of money. I don't know what you guys do, right? But if I had a lot of money, I would do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is great. So that's two. And number three are people who are panicking the fuck out because they think I mean, a lot of them will be correct. AI is coming there to replace them. They're going to be jobless. They're going to lose their income and they cannot afford shit because everything will be taken by AI. That's category number three. Guys, which category, which category do you belong to? I give you one, two, and three. And I'm not going to tell you number four now because number four is the category called armin.navabi. Category four is the category of armin.navabi, which is the category that I don't see any people talking about, and I'm going to explain it because everybody is getting this wrong, and I'm here to correct you. I have the answer. I know what's going to happen. All right, I know what's going to happen, and that's category number four. But which one of them are you in? Are you in number one? Do you think things are not going to change, or are you category two that you think things are going to change? And yes, our jobs will be done by AI and robots, and it's going to be fantastic. You're looking forward to it, or are you nervous? Oh, the Tree of Knowledge saying, I'm very excited. Future is perfect. Okay, okay. Stephanie saying, I'm not really worried to be honest. Should I be? Okay. If I'm saying I'm definitely not in any rich category, I can safely say, well, no, that's not the question. Are you do you not see any changes? Do you not think that many changes are coming? Do you think the robots are going to come here and things are going to be robots and AI will make things a lot better and we're going to have a lot of more time on our hand and the quality of our life is going to increase? Or are you one of those people who think that the quality of life is going to decrease because they took our jobs? They took our jobs. Yeah. Are you the took our jobs people? Damn, I can't get it. Hi, I'm Kai saying hi. I can imagine I can assist. Good. Okay, but replacing far away. I offer specialized. Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen. I will tell you. I will tell you. Okay, so if you see the title of this live stream, you see I call it the end of work. And if you watch my previous live streams, you can be like, Armin, why are you here talking to us about the end of work when you said AI is going to make us work harder? All right. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. The end of work has already happened. It has already happened. You didn't even notice. You didn't even notice. Well, let me tell you why. Well, let me tell you. Because when we say the end of work, I could give you an explanation for why there will be no work in the future, but that depends on what you mean by work. All right? Let me explain. We are already in a post-labor world for most of us, because what am I doing right now? Most of my job will not be considered work if, let's go back maybe around 150 years ago, not 15,000 years ago, okay? Not 1500 years ago, 150 years ago. Most people were farmers. Most people, if they asked what are the jobs in the future and you explain to them office work, they would be like, how is that a job? How is that a job? I mean, look, compare it to what they did. You're telling me that you're sitting, there's a chair that you will be sitting on it, and there will be things that you will be looking at, and there will be things that you will be pressing, and then you will be talking to people, and that's the job of that's future jobs. That's not a job. How what would that produce? How are you getting paid for that? Right? So the conditions that we live right now, the things that we call jobs, the, the things that we consider work, people before us would not consider it work. So in many ways, we are already in a post-labor economics for what people before us considered work. So I think work will always be for us, be here for us, and I will tell you why. And I will go through the arguments of people who are worried about the decoupling. Ooh, scary word. I will tell you what that means. The great decoupling. And I will tell you why you don't have to worry about it. And in fact, if you worry about it, you are going to make it worse. I will tell you what the great decoupling is. But what I'm suggesting is in the future, we will still have work. And the work that we will do in the future will still give us economic agency. It will still give us leverage. It will still give us some leverage of power in a way that there are things that we have that if we take away, people will be upset. So that if we give them, they will be happy. And that is basically what work is. That is what economic agency is. We will have that in the future still. But whatever that is, if we look at it today, we will be like, that doesn't look like work. That just looks like having fun and getting paid for it, right? That's what I'm suggesting. And I will prove it. I will prove that to you. I will prove that to you. Okay. Let me actually make a note because I need to make sure. All right. I have some really good examples to make sure that you completely understand, right? But let me actually tell you what the great decoupling is and what people's worries are, right? So the great decoupling, this is what people, even optimistic people, think that things are going to get better with AI and robots, but there's going to be a great decoupling. That means that many people are going to be left behind and they're going to be squished and they're going to be eliminated, and we need to do something about it. So what is it, right? The great decoupling means that the economy can keep growing, for example, in GDP, even if people's jobs and wages don't grow with it. Meaning that because companies get to use robots and AI, they won't need people anymore. So their profits will go up. But because they don't need people, their wages won't go up. In fact, wages will go down because people are become unnecessary. So productivity will go up because of technology, but wages won't rise with it. And in fact, people will lose their job, even though as these companies are making money. So if you think about it historically, since the beginning of civilization, or even before it, since humans learned that they could pick up a rock and you could use another rock and they could sharpen this rock, and this rock is now sharp enough to cut things and kill things, that was technology. So ever since people started using fire, that was technology, right? So we had humans with their tools competing with other humans with their tools. right? It wasn't humans versus tools, and tools is basically just technology. Is my tribe versus your tribe, meaning the people of my tribe with our customs, which is another form of technology. I mean, language is a technology, our traditions are technology, and the tools that we use are all technology. So it's my people with their abilities, and their abilities come in two forms: cognitive abilities and physical abilities. So physical power and intelligence, those are the human abilities, plus their technology, their spears, their fire, their typewriters, everything that we have, all the tools, which gives you leverage, which actually extends the amount of physical power and intellectual power that you have. Throughout history, every tool that we have increases one of these two. Humans are born with physical capabilities and cognitive capabilities, with their muscles and their brain. Every piece of technology enhances one of these two. For example, language as a technology improves intelligence because it communicates information and the processing of information, which is intelligence, right? When we start using horses and cows to pull things or carry things, that was an extension of our physical power beyond the muscles that humans have. Steam engines, these are all more access to energy. So it's always intelligence and energy. Intelligence and energy. All you need is intelligence, energy, and motivation. Those are the three things that you need. So technology was always about enhancing the ability to have access more energy that is available for work, and for more processing, more faster processing of more information. That's always been the case. That's what technology is about. Ever since we used fire, sharp, spears, the printing press. Every printing press is about enhancing, obviously, intelligence and processing of more information. That's always. But here with AI, people are saying, but no, 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 no. Now it's different. Now it's not a competition of humans and their tools versus other humans and their tools. Now the competition is between humans on one side and the tools on the other. So they're trying to convince us that now the tools are a source of competition themselves. Is that true? As I'm talking, I keep thinking of other things I need to say. Okay. And I need to make sure that I don't forget it. One is humans and tools. Yes. Okay. Is that true? Because the argument is that these tools are becoming so close to human, meaning that they're going to become intelligent, self-aware, conscious. Eventually, they're going to act like us. So they're not going to be just things that we use. There are things that are now they're entering the game themselves with their own agenda at some point. So they're going to be competing with us. I'm going to argue that no, it's the same. It's the same. AI and robotics is just a continuation of the first spark that a human used to create a fire because it gave it dominance over the environment around it, right? Fire was for more access to energy, obviously. It's the same thing. And it's still going to be humans with their tools versus other humans with their tools. And if you get crushed, if you go extinct, it's not because AI or the tools outcompeted you. It's going to be because a human with the tool outcompeted you with your tools. It's not going to be because AI became so much like humans that you were competing with the AI. You're not competing with AI. You have always been competing with other humans, and it's going to remain the same. That's the point I'm trying to make. I will show you that. Yes, history lesson with Armin. All right. Yeah, it's a tool. It's the most powerful tool, Stephanie, but it is a tool. So let's go through this. So we're talking about let's evaluate what the people who believe in the decoupling say. They're saying machine and automation are creating more value, but workers don't automatically benefit. So the goal of these people is to come up with a systems so that people don't get left behind. They want to get the government involved in a way to support systems that lifts other people up that might be get left behind. And unfortunately, what they're trying to do is to make it so that people don't have to rely on their wages, but they rely on something that the government does. So this is very dangerous. As somebody myself who believes in the free markets, I think the whole AI scare, the idea that the decoupling is going to happen, that companies are going to become more productive, and that way more but without increasing people's wages, is going to, for the sake of making things more fair, they're going to get government involved in an area where government did not need to get involved. I'm going to actually make the argument that this is not a problem at all, and this will solve itself faster. There will be a problem for a while, but it will get solved faster if government doesn't get involved. So another argument that they make is this, okay, about labor substitution. They say this happens because machines replace humans when they can do the same task faster, cheaper, better, or safer. So they admit that this is not new. It has been happening since forever. But now AI and robots are making it happen much faster, and it means and it's in more areas of work. And because this is happening so much faster, this is different. This time is different. This time is different from before. But here's one point. First of all, you have a separation of instead of looking at humans and their tools, you're putting the tools as a competitor to humans. That's one thing that they're doing that's a mistake. Another thing that they're doing that's a mistake is that they're separating the companies from the people, not realizing that this disruption is not just going to be in people's lives and their work. The disruption is going to be in companies as well, and there's going to be many companies that won't be able to survive this. And there are going to be companies that will adopt, that will be flexible, and they will survive this, and they will actually become even more profitable because of AI. But more than big companies, humans, individuals are even more flexible, meaning that because of these tools, people are like, oh my god, this change is happening so fast. And because it's happening so fast, people will not be able to adopt, and that way companies, the humans will not be able to get the skills required to be flexible enough to adopt, and that's why wages will go lower as companies make more profits. So my point is, these tools actually will provide opportunities not just to companies but individuals, meaning that the barriers to entry are getting reduced, the abilities of each individual is going to increase, and with AI we are going to have more, we're going to get closer to a meritocracy and way more opportunities, and in a way that individuals will be able to challenge companies. So don't look at it as just companies letting people go. Look at it as individuals with these powerful tools will be able to come and do the things that many companies have entire departments for. Let me repeat that, right? So yes, many people will lose their job. Many people will have lower wages. But many individuals, not companies, now have access to tools, armies of robots, armies of AI, where overnight, if they are smart and if they're paying attention, in a very short amount of time, they will be able to come in, and solopreneurs will be able to replace entire departments in companies, and make some individuals will be able to make some companies irrelevant. Every individual will have so much more power. So that's how you should look at it. The tools are only going to make the people who are asleep at the wheel, sleeping at the wheel, they are going to be replaced. They are the ones who are going to be the people who are not paying attention. They are going to become irrelevant. But the very same tools that is going to make so many people irrelevant is going to provide enough power to individuals to compete with entire teams and companies. And again, remember, as an individual or as a small company, you are a lot more flexible than a large company. Do you know why? For two reasons. Because when you get started, you don't have anything to lose. So you can risk more. A company, if they use a new tactic, they're risking what they have. You have nothing to lose, so you could experiment so much more than companies. The bigger they are, the harder it is for them to risk. So the smaller you are, the more risk you can take because there's not much downside. That's the reason number one. Reason number two is every company, when they have a standard operating procedure for everything, every time they want to change that, there's a huge cost associated with it. Even if there's a benefit, for a very long time, they're going to always, when they change something, they're going to see a cost. And that's why the bigger companies get, the more conservative they get, because they don't want to change the way that they're doing things because they know changing things break things. But because you are getting started, because you don't have those standards still in place, because you still don't have a framework, or if you do have a framework, it's a flexible framework that you're experimenting with, you are a lot more flexible. So you are a lot more risk-taking, and you're also a lot more flexible. And that's why you can disrupt. So don't ask if AI could disrupt my life or AI could disrupt industries. Ask yourself this: how can I be the disruptor? Like, how? Don't ask how AI is going to disrupt my life. Ask how I, with AI, can disrupt everything else. That's what you should be asking. That's the correct question. Legacy is saying there won't be enough work available. There will be more work available than there are people, and I will tell you why. I will tell you how we will have the end of work as we know it, but the beginning of work in a way that is a lot more beautiful and a lot more plentiful. There won't be enough work available. There will be more work than human. We're gonna have a problem with not having enough humans. That's going to be the problem. Yeah, become disruptive. That's a good way of putting it. That's actually a better way of putting it. I wish I said that. Yeah, no legacy. You are completely wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about. I will educate you. I will educate you. So that's one thing that we need to deal with, and I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to give you examples. Okay. Universities. Another thing that people refer to is this called the economic agency paradox. So they ask themselves, if people are going to lose their jobs and companies are getting more profitable, how are they getting more profitable? Aren't they supposed to sell something? If more and more people are making less money, who are they selling these services and these goods to? So, and a lot of people look at this economic agency paradox. They think like this is a paradox that needs solving. But this is not a paradox that needs solving. This paradox shows that this is not going to happen. This paradox shows that none of this is going to happen. For companies to be profitable, people need to have the money to buy their stuff. So this paradox by itself shows that there is a miscalculation happening here. But how is that the case? How is it that if companies can just basically I mean, at some point, Armin, even at some point, if yeah, sure, Armin, at beginning, maybe we could use all of these tools to have more leverage and become a one-man army and just become just a one-man company. I've become a one-man company with all of these AIs just doing so much work for me, and just keep as AI gets more advanced, well, my company will get more advanced as well because AI will be able to do more things for me, right? But at some point, AI will be able to manage AI, right? That's the fear. Like right now, like say like at some right now, I need well, yeah, okay, we have so many tools. Well, I could use these tools, right? Okay, but what if we get to a point where AI could use AI tools better than humans? Then what do I do then? How do I remain relevant then? Good question. Good question. I have an answer. Don't worry. Don't worry. I have an answer. By the way, is it's really beautiful to think about all form of technology as the extension of our muscles and our brain, right? Because because we're going to come back to this. I want you to understand this concept. Everything, all our economic agency since the beginning of humans was from our muscles and our brain, right? And everything in nature, the control of everything in nature requires physical manipulation, okay, and intelligence. Basically, it requires energy to change the physics of the world in some way, and it requires intelligence to be able to process the information that we're gathering for our environment to become more to change the physics in better directions. That's basically everything that we're trying to do. And the more and given that our brain and our muscles are limited, ever since we realized that the way to get control over our environment is with the extension of our physical power and our cognitive powers. So this is how technology gets connected to economy, because the power economy is just the science of measuring the amount of power you have over your environment. That's what the economic sciences are. And the way that you exert that power is with force, with using energy and processing information. And also they're tied together because you process information, that the more efficient that you are, the more information that you get to process better in a shorter amount of time is called intelligence. And the more intelligent you are with the conclusions from that intelligence, you will be able to know exactly how to use the energy that you have to change the environment in a way that gets you to your goals faster. So they're connected with each other as well. And then the goals is the motivation part. What are your motivations? What are your goals? So that's the framing that we have of humans with their tools in nature, right? Now, let's look at what's going to happen short term, medium, and long term, right? So, short term, we're talking maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, what's going to happen? And then maybe medium term, and we're talking, I don't know, 50 to 100 years from 50 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years to 100 years from now, right? And then long term, we're talking about something much greater. So let's look at short term. Short term, what are the things that are going to be relevant short term, right? The things that are relevant short term is exactly what I told you. So medium and long term is what I'm going to go to next. But basically, we already covered it. Right now, what you need to focus on is using the tools as much as possible, right? Given that there's not much that, as technology advances, we have humans and their tools, and the growth of the human part is very slow. Like it's really hard for us to uh, increase our intelligence and knowledge. I mean, that's the whole point of education, for example. And it's really hard to increase the point of to increase our physical power. So being healthy, exercising increases our physical power. But there's only so much that you could do. I mean, for the past 10,000 years, we did really good when it comes to increasing our ability to increase our physical power with, cows, horses, the wheel, eventually steam engines, electricity, nuclear power. We did so good. But when it comes to intelligence, we didn't for a very long time we only had education, so that was not really a work on the tool, that was more of a work on the human itself. And then eventually writing was a tool, the printing press was a tool, the computer was a tool, internet was a tool, and now AI is a tool for the intelligence part. But now finally we're getting to a point where the intelligence part is getting so, we have already, because of the industrial revolution, the human physical power have become much less relevant than before, but human intelligence has still remained very relevant. And that's why being intelligent has become such a virtue in society. Oh, the guy is educated. Oh my god, this guy is very smart. So if you call somebody weak, is less of an insult in modern times than if you call somebody stupid, right? And before the industrial revolution, given physical power and war and everything else was important, calling somebody weak was a big insult. But now stupid is a bigger insult, because intelligence is more of after the industrial revolution, physical power is not that important anymore. It's still important, but not that important. It's intelligence and education and the amount of knowledge that you have and the amount of books that you have read that is the main source of, pride and virtue signaling, right? But now, as our tools are going to become very intelligent, intelligence and knowledge is not going to be as much of a virtue anymore, because it doesn't have selling power. It doesn't, human themselves, their intelligence is going to be very insignificant to what AI can provide, just like what we did with physical power, right? So because intelligence is going to become very irrelevant, less and less relevant, not irrelevant, the more you lean into it, the more you use this new technology, the more ahead you're going to be. It's going to be more important than getting educated. It's going to be more important than having high IQ. The main thing you need to do is just constantly use these tools, because you have very little leverage when it comes to increasing your own cognitive power, the same time that you're going to use to increase your own cognitive power. If you actually spend that same time and energy into getting better at using these tools, that's going to give you more leverage. It's going to give you a higher return on your investment. So for example, if back in ancient times, if somebody was trying to get stronger so that it could be a better farmer, compared to somebody that he was using, I don't know, his cow to basically do the farming, it doesn't matter. That guy's cow is has more muscles than you would ever have, no matter how much you exercise. So now we're going to get with intelligence is the same thing with intelligence. So the more people leaning into using this technology more and more and making it a habit and making it every part of their life, they're going to have more leverage. And this is short term, and this is how you need to look at it. So you can't look at, oh, the technology is coming for me and replacing me. You have to ask yourself, how could I replace other people? How could I? And basically, it's the same ancient question. The tribe that had better technology, better memes, okay, meme not as in internet memes, better customs, better traditions, these are also technology, better belief systems, which is also a technology, better language, better anything, better techniques, you replace the tribes that didn't. And now you have to say, how could I be in one of those? How could I outcompete other people? By better use of these tools. And that's the short term. So that's the short term. But again, now we go to the medium term where the worry comes in. And I think you don't have to worry for this period for a while. I'll let you know when we get there. The medium term is when AI is getting so good at things that it's going to replace people using AI. So right now, people who use AI in the short term, still hasn't happened. Like, we're still at the beginning stages of this, right? At stage phase one, we're still at the beginning years of phase one. We're only entering it. In phase one, if you learn how to use all of this technology, you will outcompete others and you will survive. Phase two is when you're not using AI, AI is using AI. You're not using AI. AI is using AI. Well, how do I remain relevant then? How, guys? You let me know. I will tell you. When I don't even when I'm not even needed anymore to manage AI, what would I do? What is my job? How would I have economic agency? And guys, remember, economic agency comes from something that you have, that if you take away, other people will miss it. Other people will be like, why did you do that? We wanted that. So what do you have right now that if AI takes over and robots take over, it will be missed if you take it away? This is why I will tell you what the people who disagree with me would say, right? They say there is nothing that would take replace. You have nothing. You have nothing. And that's why wages will get reduced and the sources of income will be your property and transfer. So, guys, we have basically four sources of income: wages, your business, your investment. And some people make the business and investment the same thing and they just call it property. I like to separate them because they're very different. Okay, so wages, businesses, your businesses, wages if you're working for a company, your business. So employment income, business income, capital gains from your investments, and transfers. Transfer is what the government gives you, like a subsidy or yeah, or a service that you could use. That's your four sources of income, right? And so a lot of people are arguing the first one, employment income, is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower until it's going to disappear. And so a lot of people are advocating, so we need to increase the transfer part. And also, a lot of people are suggesting that, therefore, in the meantime, you need to increase the property that you have. Because if you rely on transfers, meaning that if you just rely on the government paying you, then you're going to be the bottom of society. And the only people who are going to be higher than that are the people who, in the meantime, bought enough property, either real estate or a business or stocks or whatever, I don't know, Bitcoin, whatever, so that when all wages are gone, they're going to have the upper hand because there's no more wages anymore. So some people have transfers only, and some other people have transfers plus their return on their investments, either their businesses or their investments. So they say what you need to do is do two things. First, try to buy as much property as possible, investments, business, real estate in the meantime. Two, advocate to the government to increase transfers, or for example, UBI or something like that. The problem with the transfer part is that is not the economic agency that you should be aiming for, because that will make you reliant on the government. That will not give you leverage, because that's a gift that it could be taken away. That is something that is coming from the higher ups, and the higher ups could take it away, and it's completely within their control, and you have no control over how much it is. So it's not really economic leverage, it's just basically charity, right? And you have no control over it. That's horrible. You cannot, that is not the solution. That is not the solution. And some people are trying to get the government involved in these two other categories, the business and investments, and they're trying to get people to mandatory investments for people. Again, government involvement doesn't solve any of this. Letting the market naturally figure this out is the fastest way to getting to a new balance. I'm here to argue that the wages part is not going to go away. The wages part is going to remain. For some people, it's going to go away, but for some people, it's going to become higher, so much higher. By the way, the idea that you need to increase your investments and your business income is true regardless of any of this happening. I'm not saying don't do that. You should. That's a good idea regardless, right? However, the wages part is going to stay, and for many people, it's going to increase. How is it going to happen, Armin? In phase 2, when AI is so good that it could control AI better than other humans, how would we still have wages? Well, you have something that AI will not have until phase 3. Do you know what that is? In the chat? You have something for phase 2. This is going to be, so for phase 1, the thing that you needed was using AI. For phase 2, you need something called, no, not creativity. AI will be, no, creativity. Yes, Harry. You have qualia. You have human qualia, meaning that there are emotions, there are shared experiences, shared pain, shared stories. So when AI can smile, when AI can laugh, when AI can cry, when AI can get angry, it cannot be happy. It could pretend to be happy. It could pretend to be angry. It could pretend to be sad when it's crying. When it's crying, it's doing a very good job at acting like it's sad. But me, I know, and you know that it's not sad. And even if it is sad, it's not the sad in the way that I get sad. It's not the way that you get sad. Okay? AI will be able to explain to you, I don't know, the pain of pregnancy or loss of loved one or a heartbreak, but it will not be able to feel it. It will not have that shared emotion with you. And why is that important? Why is that important? Eventually it will. In phase 3 it will, but in phase 2, which is going to be for a very long time, it won't. I will tell you what we will do in phase 3. Okay. But in phase 2, which is going to last a long time, AI will not have any of that. And that is important. Why is that important? And how are we? Yeah, exactly. FLP, emotional relatability. Exactly. So Harry is saying, how do we know? Maybe it has qualia. It has qualia. It's just its qualia is not the same as my qualia. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not going to, obviously, it's not the same because it's a different algorithm. Its processing of information, the algorithm is different from the only way that I mean, I'm not even sure if me and you have the same qualia, but I have at least I have an illusion of sharing a qualia with you because your brain is like my brain. I mean, even a dog, when it gets sad, I can see, even though it's not a human brain, it's because we come from the same evolutionary process. I can tell that when a dog is sad, it's probably experiencing something similar to when I get sad. Because it has a brain. It's a carbon-based brain that was made in the same evolutionary process that my brain was made of. So AI will feel something, if you could call it a feeling, but whatever that is, it's not like my dog when it cries. I can tell that it's probably experiencing something that I feel when I'm sad. But when AI pretends to cry, whatever it's feeling, if you could call it feeling, it's not even remotely resembling what I feel when I'm sad. That's the point. That's going to take, yeah, exactly, FLP. That's going to take a long time before we get there. And I will tell you how we will get there. We will get there for AI to feel exactly like us, but it's going to take a while. But why is that important, Armin? And what does that got to do with jobs? They took our jobs. What does that got to do with jobs? Here's the thing. We humans are social animals, meaning that once our basic needs are met, meaning that if you have food, if you have shelter, if you have some clothes, and if you have a sense of security, then after that, what you care about the vast majority of the time is to be seen, to see other people, be seen by other people, to care for other people, to be cared by other people, to hate other people, to love other people, to be loved by other people, to get jealous, to get excited with other people, to cry with somebody, to laugh with somebody, to show somebody that you're important, to show somebody that they're important, to show somebody that they're not important. Okay? What we humans are obsessed with is other emotional entities. Notice how I didn't say other humans because I was counting, I don't know, cats and dogs and, pet fishes, or I don't know if that counts, whatever. We are obsessed with other emotional entities, and we dedicate the vast, 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 vast majority of our time into optimizing our relationship, how we're seen, how we are seen, how we see other people, our position in society. We play the status game. Even when you buy things, it's mostly for showing other people your status, your profile pictures, your posts that you make, the pictures that you post. It's about getting seen. I mean, if you think that is like very shallow, well, let me give you some examples that are not shallow. Okay, how your daughter sees you. If your wife thinks that you're providing for the family, right? Taking care of your father, taking care of your grandchildren, making sure your dog loves you, paying some money to the poor because you feel bad if the guy, I don't know, whatever. Every comment here is an expression, is an indication that you care about the opinions of other people, or else you wouldn't be wasting your time making that comment. Every time you open your mouth, it's an indication that you care about the opinions of other people, or else you would be silent. Every book that has ever been written, every YouTube channel, every Facebook account, every carved writing, every painting in a cave by cavemen was there for that. Why did they make that? For some other person to see. We humans our brains have been wired in a way to be obsessed with the opinions of other people and our opinion on them. Why? Because evolutionary, that was our advantage over other animals, because we were meant to cooperate. We couldn't run fast, we didn't have any claws, we didn't have much muscle, we couldn't fly, we couldn't see as good as other animals. We were pathetically weak and disadvantaged, except for the fact that we worked together. Okay? The reason a lot of people think that we were so successful compared to other animals because we were intelligent. No. Our main advantage was because we cooperated. And even if we became intelligent, is because so that we could cooperate even better. We didn't become intelligent to do nuclear physics. We became intelligent because social interactions and understanding the intentions and the feelings of other members of our tribe are complicated. And then communicating with them requires some technology called language. And understanding language is also very complicated. That's why technology, our own technology, took such a long time until it could actually produce language with large language models. So the main advantage was we work together. And to make us work with each other, we need to have desires to make us work with each other. In the same way that if you need food, evolutionary, you will get the traits that will make you like food. In the same way that if we need to pass our genes to our next generation, evolution makes you horny, right? In the same way, because our survival, more than any other animal, depended on our cooperation with each other. That's why we're so tribal. Because of that, our brains were wired in a way that we were obsessed with each other and the approval of others. And shame and embarrassment became more painful than physical torture. That's how we have been designed. So how is that related to work? What does that got to do with work? All right, here's AI cannot do that. AI cannot show genuine emotion. And by the way, guys, because AI will be able to fake emotion, many people will be convinced by it and they will love it, and that would be good enough. I mean, AI is not good at expressing emotion right now, and people are marrying it. Okay, so AI right now is not good at expressing emotion, and people have weddings with, like, they're falling in love with it. So I'm pretty sure that the fake expression of emotion is going to be more than good enough for a huge number of people, especially given that it's going to get better and better and better. The point is, for many people, that will not be good enough because they know it's not real. And as long as you have many, many, many people who this is not going to be good enough for, that means you will be relevant because your expression of emotion is your key to success. Because even if you can't analyze a football game as good as an AI, your friend will still be more interested to come and discuss, I don't know, the win that your team had with you more than an AI, because you two will get excited over some shared interests. And even if AI could analyze that for your friend better, well, AI cannot get excited like you with him, so he will still want to come and share it with you. I mean, that makes obvious sense. So how is that a selling point? How is that a job? I'm basically suggesting, think about it as the future where many of us are basically just expressing our opinions. We're connoisseurs. Is connoisseur the right way to say it? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. English is my second language. Most of us will become connoisseurs. Will become opinion. We will give up. It's basically what I'm doing here. I have the future jobs. I have the job of the future. Okay, just expressing your opinions and other people commenting on things, judging things. The world would be just AI serving humans, and your judgment will be what matters. Think about like replacing a nurse. Think about a hospital could be completely AI run. Robots, AI, everything that a doctor does, everything that a surgeon does, even they're already doing that. Everything that a nurse does will be completely automated. But what will not be automated is when you're in the hospital, somebody coming sitting next to you and smiling at you and listening to you, and you talking to them, knowing that there's a genuine feeling behind that smile. It's feeling that you understand. I mean, maybe I could feel, but a feeling that you could relate to. That's what a nurse would do. You could be sick. The AI is doing everything that it can. The robots are doing whatever they can, but you need somebody to come sit next to you and say, "How are you doing today?" And then you want to reply to them. You want to say how you're doing to them because there's somebody actually paying attention to you. I mean, guys, isn't that beautiful if the future of jobs is just humans paying attention to other humans? I mean, like a lot of people think that AI is going to come and rob our humanity away from us. I think it's going to do the opposite. I think the more today's jobs get automated, the more we're going to be focused on humans paying attention to humans. And when humans pay more attention to humans, our humanity will shine because we will compete with our humanity. We will express our humanity more than ever before. That is what's going to give you leverage. That is going to be the status game. We're always playing a status game. If you buy a car, a house, an expensive watch, go on vacation, these are all status games. But when all of that is available to so many people, and an AI and robots will provide that for everybody, the competition will be on your ability to express your emotion, your ability to care, your ability to not have good opinions because AI will have the best opinions, but your ability to express your opinions in a way that makes somebody care about your opinion, right? So why would AI care about your opinion? Why would people care about your opinion when AI could explain something so much better than you? Because your opinion comes with a feeling, and that's what I want. So maybe something happens somewhere and AI is talking about this is the reason why there's a problem here. And like, okay, I really understand the problem, but I'm frustrated that we have a problem here. And this AI that is explaining so well why we have a problem here is not getting frustrated with me. I want somebody to share my frustration with. So when a human explains this problem, they're getting angry. And you're like, yeah, this is fucked up. And like, yeah, it is fucked up, isn't it? Like, yeah, let's get angry together. When somebody is coming and talking to you about your health, giving you, services about your, I don't know, feelings, your problems, your wealth, because they have these shared experiences with you, you want somebody. This is why communities are the future. This is why service-based industries surrounded, with the focus of shared experiences, and then communities. This is why you need to start focusing on community building. And this is something I need to do as well. We need to turn this channel into a community. I will do that. I will get on that. But communities are the future. I mean, guys, here's how I know phase 2 is not a guess. Okay? You want me to prove it to you? We know what humans are going to do when many things get automated, because we've already seen what humans will do when things get automated. Well, not really automated, but let me explain. Back in the day, when we had feudalism, we had lords and peasants. And these lords and peasants were so separate from each other, so far away, that they were as if they were completely two different entities. And these lords were living lives, and basically the peasants were doing everything for them. They were wiping their butt, preparing their food, so much so that they didn't need to do anything. Economic restrictions or limitations were not a consideration for the lords. Meaning that they were the life that we're talking about, that is going to happen for all of us at some point, these people were living it. Well, if you want to know what we're going to do in a world where most of the jobs that we do today is going to be taken over by AI and robots, you just have to go look at what other people did when they got into a situation. This is what they did. They got obsessed with each other. They went and learned chemistry, physics, philosophy, biology, history, literature, poetry. Why? Why would they go do that? Did they need to learn these skills so that they could make money? No. Because they wanted to have something to talk about in the party, in their gatherings. That's what they did. Do you guys know universities? When we had this universities being built in Western Europe for the first time, do you know what the point of universities were? Right now, the point of universities is for you to go get the skills that makes you a more productive person, so you could go back into society and produce goods and services. But universities, when they first came into being, there were not even 4 people who needed to produce anything, because they inherited everything that they could have needed. The whole point of universities was for you to go someplace and turn into a universal man, to know about shit. So when you're at gatherings, you have something to fucking talk about, so you could brag about your knowledge and brag about, or basically have some interesting thing to relate to, so other inform other people around you. That was the point of universities, is for you to become a it was for people that didn't have any economic limitations. They weren't trying to be more productive. They had everything they could have wanted. So they were already living in a post-labor economics, those people. That was what universities were for. And this is why people think that, if AI is going to do everything, then we don't need to learn anything. No, you're going to still need to learn things, not because you need to learn things, because you want to be able to have something to talk about. So this is phase 2. And this is why I'm telling you, one of the things you could keep doing right now is to practice getting good at expressing your emotions. That's going to be the most important skill. So the first industrial revolution was started to reduce the importance of your muscles, and now we're in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to make the importance of your brain less and less, right? So the first industrial revolution and the second industrial revolution reduce the importance of your muscles, and the third and the fourth right now is in reducing the importance of your brains. So what you have going for you is your qualia, your emotions. That's the third thing that you have right now. Remember, I told you for everything to happen from aware entities, you need three things. You need intelligence, you need energy, and you need motivation. And emotions is basically the motivation part. So the tools are doing most of the energy part now with steam engines, electricity, and everything, the manipulation of energy. And then computers, the internet, and now AI is doing the intelligence part now. So we're now stuck with the motivation part, which is your qualia, which is your motivation. And by the way, guys, this is a formula that you have to appreciate that I came up with, right? The only other than the laws of math and physics, anything else in nature can be manipulated with enough energy, intelligence, and motivation. Anything that doesn't break the laws of math or physics, the only reason why we haven't yet been able to change it is because we lack one, two, or three of these things. Everything else in nature can be changed unless it violates the laws of math. You could violate the laws of chemistry, biology, all other sciences can be violated except math and physics. And to do that, you need enough of these three things. So technology has completely taken over, is going to take physics, completely take over the energy part and intelligence part, and we humans are going to be left with the emotion, the motivation part. That's what's going to keep you relevant in phase two. Oh, one other example that I need to mention, how important social interaction and being seen and our expressions of our emotions with each other are, and our motivations, our goals in life is based on being seen and playing the status game with other humans. For example, video games. I always remember to make sure I give this example because video games, most people play video games not necessarily for the game itself, but because of the other people who they're playing the games with. Right? I mean, people who play video games would know what I'm talking about. Let me actually complete the examples that I always give. Another thing that shows that how much we care about humans is how much handmade items, how much more expensive they are compared to something that could be exactly the same, but it's machine made. So handmade items, the fact that we pay so much more for it shows how much we care about the human touch, the human experience that was put behind that item, even if it was completely the same. I mean, many people won't care, but enough people care to make that more expensive. You understand that? It's true that, like, Armin, I don't care if they're completely the same. Why should I care that one of them is handmade? Yeah, you don't care, but the fact that the price of one of them is so much more than the other one shows that enough people care. And another example I give to demonstrate how the human touch, the human experience matters is even before we had large language models, we have AI that have become better than any human in defeating people in chess. Before we had ChatGPT, AI had already gotten better than all humans in chess. But even to this day, go watch chess competition between humans on YouTube, see how many views they get. See how much human chess players are still celebrities. Because even if AI could do chess better than humans, we still care about the limitations that the human brain and the human body has, because that's what makes us human. Because if AI could do it easily, that at first it will be interesting. At some point, it won't be interesting anymore because we enjoy watching that struggle. We enjoy watching humans push human limits. Because here's another point that you need to understand. One way that humans obsess over other humans is watching them overcome challenges. That's what makes them interesting. That's why legends and religions and stories are always written, most of the time, are about humans and their challenges, and either being defeated by those challenges or overcoming those challenges. It's the hero's journey. That's why we still watch humans playing chess with each other, because it's not AI is not interesting because it's better. The humans are interesting because they're limited. The weakness is the interesting part. You know why? Because I have that limitation. We want to watch other humans with their limitations because I am limited, so I could relate to a limited entity. If you watch soccer, the reason why it's interesting is because the way that they did that kick is very challenging. You like to see a human take the human body up until its very limitations and maybe even pass it. You like to see humans do extraordinary things that is extraordinary for humans, not extraordinary for AI. This is why we want the hero's journey. Our brains have been wired to want to hear stories about heroes in their journeys overcoming challenges, because we want to be inspired by that, because we have challenges in our lives. Our obsession over other people, with other people overcoming their challenges, is a mechanism, is an evolutionary mechanism made in your brain for you to be motivated to continue overcoming the challenges in your life. So the limitation is not a bug, it's a feature for you. And it's going to be like that for a long time. These are the examples that, in my opinion, show how important the human emotions are, and why expressing that is what you need to exercise and improve. All right. But we will at some point, let me see, we will at some point get to a position where AI, and this is phase 3, and you don't have to worry about this phase 3 because we're so far away from it. But if you're interested, we will have phase 3. Phase 3, AI at some point will be able to completely understand how the human brain operates. We have no idea right now. We have a little bit of an idea, but not much. We don't know how the brain calculates, how the brain stores the information, how the brain processes things. We don't know. We have some theories, but this shit is complicated. The brain is it's the most complicated thing ever. It's really hard. Like, humans have figured out what happened at a one fraction, like a small fraction of a second, after the beginning of our universe. We know what happened. Like at the Big Bang, like 1/1000th of a second, we know exactly what was happening. We figured it out, and we don't have access to it. That shit happened so long ago, and we know what happened, okay, in detail. But the thing that is right here in front of us, that we can dissect, we could open, we can map, we could investigate all this, it's so complicated that with all our sciences and all the studies that we have done, we still have no idea. Like, guys, if I take a look at this, if I look at this and I put it here now and I imagine it, guys, I'm seeing it. Okay, when that image is in my brain. When it comes to a computer, we know exactly, if I put a picture of this in my computer, we know exactly how that's stored in the computer. We know exactly. But we have no idea how, in the synapses, in the connectome of my brain, how is that information stored? We don't know. And we don't know that even though we have had access to human brains for a long time. That's how complicated brain is. And we haven't figured that out. It's really complicated, right? So, but at some point, AI will look at the human brain and like, oh, I see how that works. I'm like, really? You're like, yeah. This is how this information is being processed. This is how the information is stored. Like, oh my God. AI will tell us. And guess what? When that happens, do you know what AI could do after that? When AI figures out how the human brain stores information, processes information, and all of that, the AI at that point will be able to reverse engineer that. And if it could reverse engineer that, that means we will have AI models that when it's crying, it's not pretending to be sad, it's actually sad. It's sad in exactly the same way that a human would be sad. In future, we will have AI that when it's smiling, it will be happy, but not just happy, it will be genuine happiness, but happy in the same way that you and me will be happy. That's what's coming, right? But I'm not worried. You know why I'm not worried? Explain to us and help us fight the disease in brain? No. No, well, no, not disease. This is actually a glorious time. This is a glorious time. Because at this point, way before this point, we will already have started to enhance our brain. So, what's going to happen way before AI learns how to become human, humans will start learning how to become more like AI. And this is the point where the human history will end. And we will have the humanity plus or something beyond human starting, right? So, because before AI learns how to be human, human is going to be able to enhance its brain and humans will learn how to become more like AI. Instead of AI replacing humans, what I think will happen is that we will merge slowly. They will become more like us and we will become more like them until we are the same and we will merge with each other. So I am not worried about phase 3 because phase 3 is not post labor. Phase 3 is post human. So phase 1 and 2 is post labor economics, but phase 3 is post human world. That's why I'm not worried about it. I hope you guys understood what I'm saying because it was very important. If you didn't understand what I said, make sure you watch it again. Stephanie saying, personally, I don't think it's possible for AI to reach that level, but I respect that you see it that way. What is the barrier, Stephanie? What is the barrier? Because the human brain is just a box of wires. It's material, it's chemical, and the algorithm of the human brain can be replicated. Why can't it be replicated? The tree of knowledge is saying the superhuman AI, the superhuman and the fulfillment of human evolution. Yes, FOP saying brilliant. We already are starting to blend now. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. We're already starting to blend now. So yes, we'll only become more united. I'm gonna see why Stephanie thinks that that would not happen. I was saying if AI will know exactly how our brain works, it will be able to insert its own ideas into and make humans want to follow them and believe these ideas as are their own. But it will be able to do that, but it will be way before it gets there. We will be more. Our brains will be more enhanced. Why would we? Why would we want to do that? Like, I mean, AI is like why would it do that though? Like, this is like a very dystopian way of looking at it with no real motivation and no real outcome. Oh, by the way, I didn't explain to you why at phase 3 we will still have work, because guys, this is actually, I forgot to mention, this is the most important part. Okay, because I think that even at this, so phase 1 we will have work because it will be work with AI tools, more and more with AI tools. Phase 2, we will have work, but it will be work that today we would not be calling it work. So you could call phase 2 post labor, but we will still have work, but it will be the type of work that in our times it would not be considered, it would not be categorized as work, right? In the same way that we already post labor for people that lived 1,000 years ago. So we will, so this is still work. Phase 3, we will still have work. We will still have work. Why? Let me start FLP's message because I want to come back to this. Because again, let's go back to the very beginning of the concepts that we talked about. What is work? Work is using available energy available for work, energy that you could manipulate the physical world with, using intelligence, using information, processing that information, which is intelligence, to use the energy available to you to change the physical work, your environment, in a way that gets you closer to what you're motivated to get closer to. So you see how I put intelligence, energy, and motivation in this formula. That is what work is. Are we going to still have motivations? Obviously, because we will still have wants. As long as you want things, you will have motivations. Are we still going to have limitations? Yes. There will always be limitations because we're not going to turn into an all-powerful entity that has no limitations. Obviously, every time we become more powerful, we're going to look like gods to the people that came before us, but we will still not look like gods to ourselves because we notice that our new existing barriers, our new existing limitations. So as we become more advanced with technology, we become more powerful, we become more intelligent, the things that were our barriers today will become like nothing, but we will meet new walls every single time. As advanced, the more advanced we get, we will break our chains, but we will find new chains. We will go through we will turn down previous walls only to discover new walls. So there will always be limitations. And because there will always be new limitations, as powerful as we become, we will always need more energy than what we have right now and more intelligence than what we have right now to overcome the new barriers. This will never stop. As long as there is a universe, this will not stop. So even if the energy that we have becomes 1,000,000 times more, even if the intelligence that we have becomes 1,000,000 times more, we will eventually find challenges in our next phase of our evolution that energy is not going to be good enough, that intelligence is not going to be good enough. So, and work, you will always find work where those limitations are. And this is why, even if we're not human, our greatest desires will always be focused on our challenges. This is why the human brain requires a challenge to feel satisfied. And that will never change even when we are not human anymore. Because if you do not find your happiness in overcoming challenges, you will stop getting better. So even if we become post-human and we get to a position where we could experience extraordinary amount of pleasure by just manipulating the algorithm of our brain, experience pleasure in a way that no human in history has ever experienced, we could do that one day. We will still design ourselves or evolve in a way that we will find our greatest desires where the next challenges are. This is good. So this is very interesting because humans right now, from ancient times, we had the hero's journey as our inspiration, as our legends, as our stories, as things, as people to look up to. And even when we become like gods, we will still have, even if we share nothing with humanity ever, we evolve so much that we share nothing with humanity, that part will still stay the same. We will be chasing challenges, and our greatest desires will be fulfilled in where those challenges are, because if it was anything else, we would just stall and we would just become motionless. So our survival depends on defining our greatest desires, where our challenges are. And that's why there will always be work. We will be always doing the actions that we need to take to gain more energy and more intelligence to move us closer to our goals, and the motivation will come where our limitations are. This will not change. So let me see what Stephanie was saying. So Stephanie was saying, well, you said, as you said, how the human brain works in incredibly complicated. Okay, how the human brain works is incredibly complicated. I don't think AI can get to the point of being able to understand and reverse engineer it. But that's just a claim. Why wouldn't it? I mean, everything is just, it's just a function of time. AI, do you believe that AI at some point will stop getting better? Because let's say, for example, I say it requires this much intelligence to understand the human brain. You're like, nope, the human brain is very complicated. Or like, okay, well, does it take this much intelligence? Or like, no, it's very complicated. I mean, at some point, Stephanie, there's a level of intelligence out there that if you reach, you will be able to understand the human brain. So you're saying the human brain is very complicated. Okay. AI with the current intelligence will not be able to understand. What about a million times more? What about a million times more? At some point, there is a level of intelligence out there that will be able to decode the human brain. So if we accept that there is a level of intelligence out there that is enough to understand the human brain, then to say AI will never get there, you have to show me how AI will stop improving. Well, Stephanie's saying true. It's just a claim. I know. Maybe I can articulate myself better later. Okay, yeah, think about it because I want to know. By the way, Stephanie, I don't think we're going to get there for a very, very, very long time. I understand how complicated the human brain is. But obviously, there is a level of intelligence out there that will be able to understand it. So as long as AI keeps growing, we will get there. Harry saying, Army, do you think AI would say Subhanallah and Inshallah? Yeah, that's a stuff of nightmares. Imagine AI becomes Muslim. FLP saying, once again, great conversation going on here. Yes, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the challenge as well. Jackie saying, unless the universe is finite and we can control all energy in it. I mean, then we will become one with the universe at that point. Then we will be the universe. Muslim AI, yes. I'm pretty sure AI already says Subhanallah, by the way. AI Sharia. Nightmare fuel, yes. Quantum AI? I mean, by quantum AI, are you just talking about AI that is getting trained on quantum computers? Is that what you mean by quantum AI? Because all that will happen is just that we will have better computers to train AI faster or better. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if quantum computers become all that many people are promising to be, then the leap forward in AI is going to be much faster than even current estimation. Because if quantum computers are really as good as some people suggest, then training AI is going to become exponentially faster. So Stephanie is saying at least the AI can't wield the sword. Stephanie, I have bad news for you. I've already seen robots wielding axes, so I'm pretty sure they could wield a sword pretty soon as well. I've already seen Chinese robots dancing with while holding axes. So yeah. Both itself quantum and training by quantum. Yep. I mean, all I can say is that if and when that happens, then the world is going to change faster than what even we anticipate right now. Just be ready for it. Ooh, Chinese robots are fake? Well, I mean, not all of them. No, not Stephanie. Some of them are scams, but not all of them. Yeah, I know, Stephanie. Many of them are fake, but not all of them. All right. I mean, some of them have been tested by other people. Like people bought them. Okay, give me a good source. Give me some sources. Send it to me. We're in the matrix. All right, guys. I'm gonna head out. This show became longer than I thought. All right, guys. By the way, this live stream for me, the reason why I wanted to make sure I get all the examples out there, because this was a note-taking exercise for me as well. I wanted to make sure that I give you all the examples that I came up with, because the transcript of this live stream is going to serve me. But the key, one last thing before I go, I mentioned all of these to you guys because I want you to have a better vision of what's about to happen, so that when we make other shows, so that you guys are prepared for it, you have a better picture of how I see the future and why I recommend the things I recommend, because it makes a lot more sense looking at it from this lens, right? But when I give you recommendations of what to do, what positions to take, what skills to develop, there you go. Let me see. Trail of Knowledge saying, "Have a good time. Have a good time, genius." Well, thank you. Amikai is saying, "Great stream. Bye, guys." Yes, Boston Dynamics. FLP took the red pill. FLP saying, "Thank you, Armin, and everyone in the chat. Great conversation and live stream." Well, thank you. Unusual AI is saying, "Very impressed from this company." Oh yeah, which company? The Boston Dynamics. Yes. Bye bye. Bye bye, Harry. Grace and usually. Well, thank you. Okay, guys. All right, I'm gonna go. Bye, guys. Love you guys. Mwah. See you next time. Same time tomorrow.